This is my intro music. Welcome to the video. I hope you like it lots, so don't forget to subscribe and click the thumbs up button. Now let's react.
Hey, hi, hello there. Hey guys, welcome back to another very sad episode of An Anthropologist Reacts to Amberlynn Reid. For what is probably the last time as an Am baby, because there is no Amberlynn Reid anymore. She has left us. The Queen has left. I actually do have a tear. My eye is actually watering. To honor our Queen as she leaves us, I really am tearing up. To honor our Queen as she leaves us for the final time, I think she's going over to Instagram. And then I think she told us that she's not going to be posting on Instagram anymore because we interrupt her piece by asking her questions over there too. Weirdly. Today, we are Am-babying. And I showered. And to prove it to you, we're gonna put my freshly showered hair up in a poop bun for the very last time. Probably gonna regret this a whole lot later. Poop. And we're gonna do this Dark Anthropology style. I am a participant observer in this. Obviously, I have a reaction channel. Obviously, I have made many a video about Amber. Obviously, I have opinions of what I think of Amber. I am a participant observer in this, which makes it very obvious that I have a bias of my own towards Amber. Thank you to everybody who's been supporting this channel. Thank you to my subscribers. Thank you to my members. You guys rock. Thank you to everybody who's going to hit the thumbs up button. We're going to get into some pretty deep topics, only because, like, I'm going to use my big words today with my notes. So there you have that. And if anything is confusing or if you have anything to add, please use timestamps because I will forget. I'm going to try to stay on topic. And also, ahead of time, I'm just going to apologize for the fact that the video is skipping. I don't know, man. I've done everything except wipe my computer and reset it all the way back to the factory reset, which I guess I might end up doing because that seems to fix everything when I can't figure out what the hell's wrong with my computer. I don't want to do it today, though. We'll do it at the beginning of the new year. We'll just start the new year with a factory reset of the computer. Anyway. What I want to do here is I want to discuss Amberlynn as, don't come for me, as an archaeological site. All right, Amberlynn's channel and Amberlynn herself as an archaeological site. And why and how we're going to do that is, as I say in a lot of my videos, the internet is material culture. And material culture can be studied archaeologically and anthropologically. Yep, words. For those of you who like to fight me on this one, which isn't that many of you actually, so I don't know why I get like about it. But archaeology is a branch of anthropology. Personally, I think anthropology should be a branch of archaeology, but that's me. That's me being spicy for no freaking reason. We can look at Amber's non-existent channel. It exists, all right? But we can look at the deposits of Amber's channel, and we can make observations of it. Observations, and we can draw conclusions based on those observations around Amber's channel. Now, obviously, as you can see, Amber has wiped her channel. It is, to my knowledge, via Salty Crab, who I still watch, that the videos have not been deleted. They've just been privated, which is fine. They might be deleted by this point, but last time I checked, they are simply privated, which is fine. Amber needs to maintain those numbers there's a whole lot of stuff that happens on the back end. If you're not a creator, you may not know. And so there's a really good reason for Amber to hold on to those videos, simply because she needs the views. I know some of you have noticed when she gets a video deleted, she gets like that big nasty red number on, is that vidIQ, or I don't know what website it is you guys go to check these things, but you'll notice that she gets that really terrifying looking red number. That's because she's lost those view hours off of her account. By privating the videos and unlisting them, she still maintains those view hours, and so that still is a plus for her. It's a gain, yeah, sure, for her channel, and it doesn't hurt the channel. Now, sure, her channel is demonetized, which is different than her channel being, murked. The channel is still there. She could still post videos. She still from time to time was posting updates, because there was for like 3 whole seconds a update on what was going on with Twinkie and Twinkie's surgery, and that was on her community tab for like that you see is no longer there. That was there for like 3 whole seconds before she removed it. And I suspect that's what we're going to be seeing a lot of behaviorally going forward with Amber in this channel, is she's going to post something for like a hot second and then it's going to be gone. And part of that is part of that is going to be because she's trying to play cat and mouse with reaction channels and the recording channels, or the archiving channels. Ooh, oh, that's my hair. Never mind. And the other part of that is I don't think she knows how to rebrand her channel just yet, because the stuff that she was making, the videos and the content that she had on her channel up to this point clearly violated TOS. YouTube was not amused, and so she removed everything because it was too egregious. And YouTube was just like, nah, you have to scorched earth kind of a situation. So I think that is what's going on. Now, we know that Amber doesn't like things that look like effort. So I don't know what to expect. But we do know that Amber could potentially be back early next year. I think I did the math, and it's like mid-February, early March of next year would be her 90 days. And she could potentially come back and get remonetized. So that could happen. A big operative word there being could. However, for the purposes of this video, we are going to treat this demonetization as the capping of an occupational period. This is the end of the Amberlynn Reid occupation period on YouTube as we know it. And I think that's fair to say, because anything that she posts after this is going to be, my lips were getting dry, is going to be truly new Amberlynn Reid, because it has to be. She can't fall back on what she used to post because it violates TOS. And YouTube will not allow her to have that content on her channel. I think she might be able to have it if she demonetizes it and age restricts it herself. But what would be the point? Because she wouldn't be able to make money on that, right? And this is Amber's income. So I don't see her making content if she comes back. I don't see her making content like that, only because it would be counterproductive, right? So this is how I'm viewing it. Any content that gets posted on this channel going forward is going to be different enough that it's effectively like a whole new occupational civilization, if one will, on Amber's channel, right? We have a new Amberlynn only because we have to. Right? She has been forced to evolve. That's not fair. Evolve's not really the word I'm looking for. we're going with it because I can't think. Anyhow, so what we are looking at here is the end of an occupation period, the capping of a deposition period. So is it a 10 centimeter period? No, it goes deeper than that. Are we doing this in meters? Yes. Why? Because that's how I was trained. God damn it. We're not actually measuring this in centimeters. Maybe we should. We are going to look at this as if this entire time that Amber has been on YouTube as one occupational chunk, because this has never happened before. All right, this is important. And when I say we are going to look at this entire chunk, I don't mean we're going to go back to the Crystal period and we're going to look at little things within the Crystal period and then we're going to move on to Destiny era, and then we're not doing that. I don't care about the individual eras. We might talk about them, we might hit on them, but we're not here to discuss the micro eras within the larger occupational period that was the 13, 14 years, something like that Amber was on YouTube. All right. We're talking about the entire chunk that Amber was on YouTube. And so the entire time that Amber was within Girl World. And this is an important impact because we're talking about Girl World, really. This is an important period within Girl World. Girl, G-O-R-L. No, G-O-R. Yeah, I spelled it right. G-O-R-L. And Amber is a significant figure within Girl World because, in my opinion, because she was one of the founding members, one of the founding girls. I want to say she was the founding girl, but I know people don't agree with me when I say that. She is, however, the founder of the Amberverse, because there is no one else in the Amberverse. It is the Amberverse for a reason. But the word girl, from my understanding, etymology, no, you're not going to do it linguistically. There we go. We'll go with that one. Comes from Amber's mispronunciation of the word girl. And, we get a lot of like in jokes, from Amber's mispronunciation of various words, some intentional, some possibly are her natural way of speaking. I'm still fence sitting on a lot of that. Girl may or may not be one of those, but it is iconic at this point, and it literally named this side of the internet that we are all in. This demonetization wave that is occurring, because if you don't know, today is December the 3rd. Yesterday, being December the 2nd, Quirky Love Rose, her channel got demonetized last night, and Anna O'Brien, Glitter and Lasers, appears to be demonetized? ? As of December the 2nd. And I don't know if Hungry Fat Chick qualifies as Girl World or not. I don't cover her, but I know that her channel was demonetized. The only girl who doesn't have a demonetized channel as of, December the 2nd, I haven't checked today, what is Chantel, Foodie Beauty. I don't know. I can't answer that for you. I don't know. But anyway, last girl standing, Chantel. I mean, honestly, we should have seen that coming, to be perfectly honest. We really should have seen that coming. No one really honestly should have been surprised by that one. Chantel survives everything. So, no one really should have been surprised by Chantel being the last Girl World creator to be standing. Anyway, going back to this. Amber, of course, being a YouTuber, she's important anthropologically and archaeologically speaking in this capacity. She started off as a weight loss channel. She never progressed. She would talk often about the 98 lbs that she supposedly lost, but as far as I understand, those lbs were lost before the channel started. So before she started recording and posting herself on the internet. I don't know if they occurred during the Crystal era or if they occurred prior to the Crystal era, but we never saw her lose those weights. Now, she did lose weight early, very early, during her time on YouTube, but it wasn't significant and it didn't last. And so from the time that Amber joined YouTube until today, until she got demonetized, keep in mind, she's demonetized. Her channel exists. She can still interact with it. She can still post. It still exists. She's not banned from YouTube. She wasn't kicked from YouTube. She just can't make money anymore. All right. Anyway, all she's managed to do since her time on YouTube is gain weight. And she's gained like 300 pounds. I think she's pushing 400 at this point. So her weight loss journey has clearly not been successful. And during that time, she has had many a different cycle of crises, relapsing, rebranding, having the crisis again, apologizing for said crisis. There's a whole Amberlynn cycle. I know many of you have seen the graphic for it. I feel like it needs to be updated, but I don't know if it's worth updating at this point. I was going to do that. I was going to do a lot of things this year. How about you guys? What did you not get to? Tell me down below. Amber also moved towards when she would need to get the pressure off of her from her lack of weight loss progress before she finally decided that she was not a weight loss channel. Waffling back and forth on that. She would fall back on confessional storytelling as a way of kind of drawing attention away from her lack of progress. Oftentimes, she was using it as a way to drum up sympathy or to provide excuses for why she wasn't progressing. She saw it as a way of making herself seem more real or authentic to her audiences. She also would fall back on everyday vlogging, which is where she usually got into most of the trouble because she's very bad at filtering herself and was even worse at it when she first started with her channel. Also, during this time period that she was online, she had continuous conflicts with not only her audience, but with creating a parasocial relationship, not with her fans per se, but with what we would call anti-fans, or she would refer to as haters, which is also spelt funny. Spelt the way she pronounces it, haters. And this parasocial relationship with her haters has spawned several different subcategories and subgroups and subcultures within the Amberverse and the Girl World spheres, many of which get constantly nuked for being hate speech or hate groups and that kind of a thing. Quotation marks. So keeping track of Amber is actually kind of difficult. Can it be done? Yes. Has it been done? Yes. Will it continue to be done? Probably. It's the internet. But another thing that has been spawned from Amberlynn and her channel, beyond her conflicts with her audience and her parasocial anti-fans, parasocial relationships with her anti-fans, is also long-term relationships with reactors and commentary channels. I say that I say those two things separately because not all reaction channels were and are necessarily confrontational, and they don't all necessarily start off confrontational. I don't know why I have these on. We're not watching videos. So, I don't know why I had those on. I don't even know why they're turned on, to be honest with you. So that is kind of establishing how Amber is a cultural site, an archaeological site on the internet, because she is not only an individual, which she clearly is. I'm not trying to remove her individuality here. Amber is an individual. She's definitely demonstrated her individuality through her channel. She demonstrates her agency throughout her channel by, constantly not doing things that she was told not to do, making weird decisions that people don't necessarily agree with. But my point being, Amber had agency through her channel, even when she claimed that she didn't. She clearly did, right? So I'm not taking away her personhood, her humanity, or her agency by referring to her in this way. I am simply also pointing out that by being part of the internet, we can look at her as a cultural site, especially her channel as a cultural site. And when we look at her channel, I don't mean this page that I've had you staring at this entire time I've been talking. I mean the content that used to be on this page and the content of that content. Right? But that is something that we have talked about a lot in the various Dark Anthropology videos that I've done on Amber, is that everything on the internet, every video is material culture, because it doesn't just exist. Currently, videos don't just magically appear like mushrooms after a rainstorm. They have to be created. And that creation has to happen through human hands, right? I have to record this. I have to edit this or pass it off to my editor to have them edit it, right? And then I have to upload it onto my channel. You see, there's many points where this video passes through human hands, and then you consume it. And I assume most of you are human. Some of you might be parakeets. I don't know. One of you told me you leave your videos on for your dogs. That's amazing. You have highly educated dogs. That's terrifying. But yes, Amber is unique in that all creators on YouTube are unique, because we can all be looked at this way. It's not just Amber. You can look at my channel that way. I can look at Zachary Michael's channel that way. I can look at Kicking Geese's channel that way. Pick a reactor. Pick anybody on the internet. Pick your favorite non-Girl World reactor. We can look at their channel the exact same way that we're getting ready to look at Amber's. Maybe not as negatively, but probably we can definitely look at their channel as them as a person, but also as a cultural site, right? Especially if they're a particularly popular channel, because they will definitely have subcultures and subgroups that have spawned off of them, because they will have supporters, they will have haters, they will have people in the middle, and that's just how the internet works, right? Amber obviously matters for Dark Anthropology, our brand of Dark Anthropology, because I created my channel to talk about that, right? And which only further supports my point that Amber creates an ecosystem. Please don't come for me. Amber creates an ecosystem around her, in that Amber's content obviously comes from Amber. That content and Amber's confrontational relationships with her audience and her haters has created people who react to and commentate, sure, on her content. And that creates the ecosystem, and that creates a feedback loop, because Amber watches those things, and that's where we talk about the parasitic parasocial relationship that she has with reaction channels, because Amber watches those channels, gets pissy about them, and then reacts to the reactors in her own way, to the point where sometimes she even direct messages them. Sometimes she had phone numbers for people. But Amber herself will reach out to and interact with reactors, reaction channels, and commentary channels, and even sometimes just various members of her audience, right? They don't necessarily have to be reaction channels, but she will interact with them. Anyway, when she interacts with the reactors, it can cause her to react to things that the reaction channels have said. We've watched this throughout the years. People who leave comments underneath her videos, she'll read those comments and get upset about those. She'll adjust her behavior based on feedback that she's received. I know we don't see it like immediate, but there has been a shift in her behavior from the Crystal era up to today's
today's Amberlynn Reid. There's been a definite shift in her behavior, the way she interacts with her audience, the way she speaks to her audience. Don't get me wrong, there are constants. She does constantly talk down to her audience. She does constantly treat her audience poorly. She does constantly she's always taken her audience for granted. And, she's always viewed her audience as both her best friend and her worst enemy. These are constants throughout the history of her channel, but she has learned to quit showing certain things, stop saying certain things. She has learned to adapt her behavior. So that's part of the feedback loop of her reacting to the reactors and the comments that she receives from her audience. And that's part of the parasocial relationship that she has with her audience. And then literally dating people who used to be watchers and apparently haters themselves. She can get a hater to fall in love with her. We're not going to talk about that, but if you know, you know. But that's why Amber matters to Dark Anthropology, because effectively this channel exists. It exists because we started reacting to Amber. It continues because there are other people that we can be reacting to. Now, Amber also provides an interesting way for the community, the Amberverse, to discuss various topics. One might call this myth making. Amber is a symbol to many of us, not just a person. She is a talking point within the community for them to be able to discuss deeper topics such as morality, consumption, self-owie, responsibility. Some people do come after her for her femininity. Some people do come after her for her sexuality. We discuss performative trauma, and anthropology is nothing if I don't say neoliberalism at least once. So yes, we will discuss that. Well, we'll at least say it. So now you know it's an anthropology video because I said neoliberalism. Anyway, but Amber is a way for us, the community, us, the Amberverse, and Girl World at large, to discuss these higher topics, right? We discuss Amber's bad behavior, and we use that as a way of reflecting what we would or would not do, right? We talk about Amber's constant consumption, her overconsumption of certain things, not just food, but items as well, her apparent frivolous spending of her own money, things that we see her buy, use, throw away, these sorts of things. We do talk about her ouchies. I can't use the actual word because YouTube doesn't like real words anymore. But we talk about that. And when we see her participating in her E followed by the letter D behavior, her own, as graphically Alex likes to call it, toxic ritualistic behavior, which is actually why her channel got demonetized, was because she was constantly displaying and monetizing that toxic ritualistic behavior, and that allowed the community at large to discuss that particular form of self-ouchie, and it gave people a vehicle to have that discussion about that. A lot of people used Amber as a way to talk about their own difficulties with toxic ritualistic behaviors, their own E's followed by the letters D's, their own participation in their own self-owie. Amber also gives us the ability to discuss responsibility. Lots of people like to comment on Amber's lack of apparent care for her animals, how that would reflect if she were to ever be in charge of taking care of a human being. Lots of people like to point out her atrocious behavior towards her partners, her various girlfriends throughout the years. So, and just in general, her behavior towards her elders, being her mother, her grandmother, more recently her aunt. Not going into details on that one, but there was some conflict there. And I group family in with responsibility. That's just how I see it. But, take that as you will. Group it how you want. But that allows us to kind of use her as a mirror to discuss what I wouldn't do. I mean, anytime you find yourself doing that, anytime you find yourself going, now you're using Amber as a comparative, and she has now become a symbol to you as a way to discuss whatever topic you're about to follow up with. Wouldn't whatever or would whatever. Now you're using her as a comparison to yourself, which is fine. It's absolutely fine. It's what we do. Femininity and her sexualization, they're difficult to talk about because I don't like to reduce Amber to her looks or her sexuality, because those are two very charged topics to discuss, only because as a woman, Amber is a woman, obviously, on the internet. She gets attacked for simply existing in a female body on the internet. Being female presenting on the internet, because there you go. So I don't want to come at her for that reason, but it does kind of prove my point. Amber is constantly attacked for her appearance, her apparent femininity or lack thereof. People come after her for her hygiene, for her lack of hygiene. I mean, I've got a poop bun. Let's be honest. I'm not removing myself from these categories. I am a participant observer. Did I not mention that at the beginning of this 30-minute video so far? So, and then again, to talk about her sexuality, people use her as a comparison in that aspect that Amber is a lesbian. She's very open about that. Obviously, she's had several girlfriends online now. She talks about it frequently. She likes to waffle here and there and kind of toy with the idea that she might be bi. It depends on the week and who she's dating at the time. But she has in the past mentioned that she might be bi. It's usually very short-lived. For the most part, Amber is very staunch, very, very adamant that she is a lesbian. And I do see people within the communities, especially other lesbians and other people who fall within the LGBTQ community, use her as a mirror or a comparison to their own struggles as members of that community. So that's really all I want to hammer in on that one. Like I said, both of those topics are really charged. I don't want to dismiss those things, but I do want to bring up the fact that does happen. Amber is used as a comparison for both of those things, right? Again, I don't want to be like I'm up on a high horse either on any of these things. I am a participant observer in this. Obviously, I have a reaction channel. Obviously, I have made many a video about Amber. Obviously, I have opinions of what I think of Amber. I am a participant observer in this, which makes it very obvious that I have a bias of my own towards Amber. Amber is a great example of how we can look at an individual within the girl world, because Amber, this is all about Amber. This is all about the girl world. This is all about the Amberverse. But Amber is a great example of how we can look at an individual YouTube channel as a cultural site, an archaeological site within the greater realm of the internet. We can do this, as I said, to any site. You can do it to mine. You can do it to, I don't know, iNabber, just because I was watching it the other day. You can do it to Observe's channel, because, again, I was watching Observe the other day. You can do it to your favorite cooking channel. Alton Brown's back. He has, I think, 2 videos now, maybe 1. I know he's got at least 1. My point being, we could do this to Alton Brown's channel too, right? And again, especially with someone like Alton Brown, who's been around, I'm going to say his name 5 different ways, just letting you know now. But we could use his channel as a great example because Alton Brown had stages within his YouTube channel, because he's had stages throughout his career, yada, yada, yada. We can look at the different eras. We can look at those different eras as deposition periods, which would mean we're looking at different occupational periods within his career on the internet, yada, yada, yada. All right, cool. If you have questions, remember, use timestamps. So, all right. So what I wanted to look at here is the demonetization of Amberlynn as a cultural impact on Girl World, right? Keeping in mind, this is how I see it. This is my argument that I am putting forward. Feel free to disagree or agree. Again, I know some of you do this. I know some of you are actually like studying anthropology. A couple of you have told me you are anthropologists. I know several of you are sociologists. Let's fight. That's a joke. If you know. If you know, you know. If you don't worry about it. Sociologists and anthropologists fight because we use the same words. Anyway, anthropology. It's too many A words. All right, Amber isn't just a creator. She is a foundational point of Girl World. I said that earlier in that, the term comes from Amber's own mispronunciation of the word girl. Her demonetization is a cultural break within Girl World. One could compare it. One could compare it to like the end of a classical era within Girl World. This demonetization rollout that is occurring. Like I said, it's not just hitting Amber. It's hitting a lot of the channels. I could be making this same argument with Chantel's channel. And if Chantel's channel gets demonetized, I might make this argument that Chantel's demonetization could have the same kind of an impact, that with the demonetization of Amber's channel is kind of the end of the golden era, the first era within Girl World, because nothing like this has happened. I'm sure there have been other shakeups, other quake-ups. There was the time that Chantel's channel got actually yeeted. So we could go back and make that argument, but it didn't rock Girl. You know what? I'm not going to make that argument. We'll have to discuss Chantel's channel getting booted and then her potential demonetization in another video, because the more I chew on that one, the more I don't like my argument. Her demonetization is a harbinger of the end of the classical era within Girl World. We're gonna stick with that. She has been an anchor point for Girl World for well over a decade at this point. Well, we were saying like somewhere between 13 years, 12 to 13, maybe 14 years. Right? She has created a moral economy within Girl World. She is the original reaction cycle, right? Because she is the first one that had the cycle mapped out. Maybe her cycle was the most evident, and so it was the easiest to map out. But I mean, at this point, we know we've got Amber's cycle mapped out. Again, I think Chantel's cycle has been mapped out. And most recently, Anna from Glitter and Laser's cycle was mapped out by Sam at Every Size. So the girls have their cycles. Those cycles have been mapped out. I'm talking more about the reactive cycle as kind of like, well, we would call it like a ritualistic cycle here, because we like using the word ritual in anthropology. We like that almost as much as we like neoliberalism. Anyway, see the things you're learning today? So Girl World relied on Amber and this cycle, this moral cycle that she would set off, because Amber would create a crisis. We all love it when Amber creates a crisis. We would sit here and we would wait for one. And we just knew that something was going to pop off eventually. She was going to say something. She was going to do something. She was going to break up with her girlfriend. Some new side character was going to come out of the woodwork and tell us something weird that hopefully was fresh information and not just rehashed shit. Things would happen. And that would create a crisis within the Girl World community. Reaction channels would start reacting. That would create an outrage cycle. Which again would create more reaction videos. Amber would start reacting to the reaction videos and start becoming defensive, which would create a secondary like cycle within that of her reacting to reactors, and that kind of created like an Ouroboros. And then there would be the inevitable like not apology. I won't call it an apology video. Sometimes she would apologize, but not very often. But she would pull some kind of like, I'm going to be accountable, but did not do anything that even resembled accountability, or she would just shut it down. Those were usually her two steps. And then there would be a moment of reset where Amber will have had her fill of whatever this crisis was, and she would be done with it. Whether the community was done with it or not is another story. Amber would be done with it, and we would hear no more about it. You could ask her about it until the cows came home. She would not talk to you about it. I've always been impressed with her ability to just not talk about something. Like there are a lot of topics where she just stops. She'll argue with you, and she'll fight about it, and she'll cry about it up to a point, and then she's just done. And she just ignores you, which is fine. I mean, it's kind of impressive. But demonetization kind of interrupts this cycle because it removes her financial incentive to interact with it. Because going back to the cycle itself, her reacting to the outrage and the reaction videos, the benefit to her doing that was her videos would draw views, be it from the reaction channels or from people raw dogging her videos. And that would generate income on her channel. And without monetization, she could have a crisis. I mean, this is a crisis. You know, her demonetization is a major moment, obviously. And we, the reaction channels, are making videos about it. I mean, even Rachel has made a video about it from what I've been told, and I'm kind of curious. I might end up watching it. I just want to see what's been said. I'm making a video about it. I've made several at this point. And other channels have made various forms of reaction to it. There's various lives. There's probably shorts out there if I really went to go look. But the reaction side of this is carrying on as we always do. We're reacting where there's the crisis where some people are outraged, some people are not. You know, we are doing our part. Amber has stepped away. She's gone. She has said her piece. She's not making videos. She's not doing lives. And so she is not creating fresh content for the reaction channels and the commentary channels to react to. She's also removed the ability of her community to comment. So she's not even generating comments. I know that she has been over on Instagram doing Q&As on Instagram, but I don't believe she's monetized on Instagram. I don't even know if you can do that. I assume you can. I just don't know if she is. But even then, it's my understanding with the last Q&A that she did, she got pissy and decided that she's not going to be doing those anymore. We'll see how long that lasts. But even then, that form of generating content has been removed, right? So maybe we'll still see the other end of this, the apology and the reset, but I highly doubt it. Or at least we won't see it until she gets remonetized, is where I'm going with this. Because there's no financial incentive in this for her, right? We're monetized. Most of us, as far as I'm aware, are monetized. So there's a financial incentive for us to do it. Those of us who aren't monetized would be doing it anyway. So that incentive is still there. Those of us who are reacting would be reacting anyway, because we're reacting for our various reasons. Amber's only reason for making these videos, which has been made clear here, was for financial reasons, right? And again, it's YouTube. The game changed a long time ago when YouTube started monetization. People are here to make money. Let's not pretend, okay? Now, does that mean every channel on YouTube, especially some of the smaller reaction channels that I've seen come out of the woodwork lately, and some of them are actually fabulous, by the way. They are not monetized, but they are making videos. They are doing that because they want to, because they like to, because they get something out of it that is beyond monetization, right? And that proves the rule, right? These are people that have a genuine interest in the community, in creating content, in reacting with Amber and interacting with Amber at the reaction level, right? They are going to do that whether they're monetized or not. Amber is not going to react to the reaction channels. She's not going to interact with her community. She's not going to further this cycle without monetization. She's just not going to, because it's about money for her, right? Right. And that loop, that big ritualized loop that I was talking about earlier, that sustains the ecosystem of the economy within Girl World. And if you remove the major point, which is Amber, we don't have that anymore. Now, majority of reaction channels do have other people that they react to, so it's not that huge of a deal. And, you know, we can point out that, you know, a lot of our channels have been moving away from Amber for a very long time at this point. Yada, yada, yada. We can make all that argument. That's not the point of this video, right? All right, so that's that note. All right, so now I want to talk about, I'm kind of shifting gears, but not really, because we're going to come back around to what we were just talking about in a minute. I want to talk about YouTube involving itself within Girl World by demonetizing Amberlynn's channel. Now, keep in mind, as I keep saying, Amber's channel is still here, even though there's nothing on it that we can see. I believe she privatized or unlisted the videos. They're not deleted, I think, as of December the 2nd. Today being December the 3rd. I haven't checked. YouTube has stepped in to Girl World at this point. In that aspect, they are acting as an agent of cultural authority. Because YouTube, being the one who controls the platform, obviously, they get to say what is and isn't allowed on their platform. And YouTube says self-owie is not allowed on our platform, and videos that portray apparently very large people discussing their E followed by the letter D and their toxic ritualistic behaviors, making videos about that while participating in their E followed by the letter Ds, that is considered self-owie, and we don't allow that on our platform. Now, regardless of why YouTube has decided all of a sudden that they're going to enforce their rules after not doing so for a very long time, that's irrelevant. The point is that they are doing it, and Amber's channel has been caught in it. That is YouTube stepping in as the arbiter of our moral culture here, because YouTube has specifically said this is not allowed. And we really don't have any control over that. We really don't. We either play by YouTube's rules or we don't play. So, YouTube, in that way, as acting as an agent of cultural authority, they have withdrawn support of Amber's channel. They have basically said that her they've basically said that her cycle is no longer valid for them. It's no longer going to make them money. So she can't make money off of it either, is basically what has happened, you know, within a nutshell. And so they have removed her ability to make any money whatsoever, even if certain videos don't violate the TOS. The TOS that has always been in play, by the way. I know there are a lot of people who are like, oh my God, you know, her videos didn't violate TOS at the time. Yeah, they did. They've always violated the TOS. YouTube just hasn't enforced them. That's the difference. Anyway, but Daddy YouTube has decided that they're going to enforce the rules now. And so Amber's channel has been demonetized. But in doing so, they have delegitimized Amber's cycle. They have delegitimized Amber's behavior on the internet. And in that way, they have made her, can I say weight loss journey? They have brought an end to her weight loss journey on the internet. I don't even think you're allowed to put content up where you are weighing yourself. Like, I don't think you're even allowed to do that. I don't know. I haven't challenged it yet. I have no intention of doing so because I'm not a weight loss channel. But I would be interested to know. So that's YouTube stepping in as a cultural authority here and how that is influencing this particular cultural period within Girl World, right? This is the end of that classical period because before this, Amber could do anything, right? There were no repercussions for whatever Amber did. Amber could put out any kind of content, and there was very rarely, incredibly rarely, any kind of pushback from YouTube on that content, even when she was being mass reported. And that is where things have changed. YouTube is now apparently taking mass reports seriously. And in doing so, they're looking harder at people's channels. Now, I know if we go over to Rosie will say that the evil AI has it out for fat women, and it is attacking them specifically because Rosie couldn't possibly take any kind of agency over the content that she creates. Nothing could ever be Rosie's fault. Amber's kind of the same way, except she's not blaming the AI. Amber's blaming who she always blames, which is her audience, her haters, and the reaction communities. She always blames us anytime anything goes wrong with her channel because it couldn't possibly be anything that she's done. And again, that also goes back to that chunk of irresponsibility within her. She refuses to change or to take responsibility, which goes back to her posting, her participating in her toxic ritualistic behavior around her E followed by the letter D, particularly her bingo behavior. And I mean, she's posted so many videos with that word in the title, even talking about, this is what it looks like when of a day where I eat on a bingo. She's got TikTok shorts about it, and just all kinds of stuff where she's literally using her E followed by the letter D and her toxic ritualistic behaviors as clickbait to get people to watch her channel. She constantly uses her own physical form as part of her thumbnails. I mean, I wish I could show you at this point. I'm sure if we go back in older videos of mine where I have scrolled through her videos, her thumbnails, if they're not full body shots, which she knows gets people's attention, there are shots of her shoving food into her mouth, talking about her toxic ritualistic behaviors or her E followed by her letter D, right? Which is a no-no as far as YouTube is concerned, because that is highlighting her self-owie behavior around her E followed by the letter D. I really hope everybody's following me with all of this stupid code talk that I have to use. If not, let me know down in the comments section down below and I'll work on it. Apparently YouTube's bringing back the DM feature, so hopefully maybe next year we'll be able to DM each other. Anyhow, right, so there's that. We can, because I have to bring up neoliberalism, we can view Amber as a bit of a neoliberalist protagonist, a little bit of a anti-heroine. Heroine, I always like saying that. An anti-hero, whether you like her or not. Amber has a way of establishing her own selfhood, her own identity, her own projection of her own views of herself. And this has become she's become a well-known iconic symbol on YouTube, good or bad. Most of us would agree not great. And that's kind of where we're at with this. But YouTube stepping in and again saying, no, we don't want your content on here anymore, has basically delegitimized that identity, that selfhood that she has been developing for herself for the past 12 years, and has basically demonetized her, and again, I think I said this earlier, the whole concept of the weight loss journey as a genre on YouTube. That is at risk. That mukbangs, I'm a little concerned about cooking content. I don't know how that's going to fare going forward because of these new stricter enforcement of these rules. So we'll find out. Coming to the close here. Where does this leave Girl World? Where will the refugees of Girl World go? Where will Amberverse citizens go now? Where will the diaspora go? Because I had to use my fancy words. The reality of the situation is, as much as I like to go on about this, the Amberverse has been fracturing for a while now. It has been being observed for a while now that Amber's content has been declining, not because of YouTube, but because of Amber herself. And it has been winding down. And for a while, I have been observing it. And I have just thought that perhaps she was just going to quietly amp it down until we once again got a new cycle out of it. And that would just be the end. And we'd just be into another cycle, right? I was just waiting for another cycle to begin. I wasn't expecting a complete closure of an era, right? The capping off of an occupational period. But that's what we ended up getting. So it's kind of a hard stop as opposed to a soft tapering off, which is what we were getting, right? But so where do we go now? Where do we, the reaction channels, the Amberverse community, the various Reddit, well, the Reddits go to hell apparently. But the Discords and the other channels out there that exist specifically to discuss Amber off the space of YouTube, right? Where do we go? And the idea that we would pivot, that we would look for other people to react to, other topics even to discuss, move away from Girl World even, some channels, that has been occurring for a long time. I think a good example of that would be Zachary Michael, who just, I want to say a year ago or so, just dropped Amberlynn like a hot potato. And I think that was one of the best moves Zachary Michael ever made. Because Amber is a toxic as fuck individual. Because this is something that has been winding down in general, a lot of reaction channels have shifted gears already. And also, as a reaction channel, it's not the best idea to have all of your eggs in one basket. So a lot of channels, reaction and commentary, don't exist solely to comment and react to Amber in the first place. And the spaces that I interact in off YouTube that discuss Amber are not specific of Amber, right? So the loss of Amber in these aspects and the loss of the Amberverse, which again has not gone away, it's just become harder to access at this point. The loss of these things is not as huge of a blow as one might think, only because there was no space, in my opinion, there was no space that existed purely because of the Amberverse, right? There might be some smaller reaction channels that had started and only reacted to Amber. And I'm sure those do exist because there's new reaction channels, new commentary channels starting every day. And so I'm sure there are a few small channels out there that had just started and all they were doing was Amberlynn content. And I'm sure that this is not helpful. But it's not difficult, especially within the greater Girl World atmosphere, to find a different girl to go and comment on, right? And even then, with the loss of the current Amberverse, there is still the historical Amberverse that can be commented on, that can be looked at, that can be reanalyzed. The classical era is classical, and yet we still write novels about it yearly. There are still people that have degrees in it because that's how much we enjoy the classical era. And I think Amber's classical era, the classical era of Girl World, the classical era of the Amberverse, is going to be the same way. If and when Amber comes back and reinvents her channel, it's still going to be the same way. Even if she never re-releases those videos that she's privated here, shit's been documented. We have many a historian on the internet, within YouTube, that has documented the most important chunks of the Amberverse, things like that. And there are ways to continue to comment about her more problematic videos without violating TOS, right? And I think that's going to continue to happen because, again, if we look at the actual classical era, these things occur, right? Hell, there's whole ass channels on YouTube that talk about nothing but the classical eras of humanity itself. So, that being said, the overall impact of this ending of this cultural period, of this occupational period of Amber on the internet is shocking to see. It's kind of like witnessing, the fall of Rome, I suppose. Maybe not as violent or really as impactful, but the point is we are literally witnessing the closing of an important moment within Girl World, and obviously an important moment within the Amberverse, because this is a shuttering. It's like a store closing. We're watching the store close. Well, the store has closed. It's done. There's no more Black Friday sale. There's no more going out of business sale. The doors are closed. If you walk up to the door, this is what you get. You can't go in anymore. It says it's not there. Is there the possibility that the door may reopen? Possibly, but we don't know. This is a future problem for us. Currently, all we know is it's done. And even if the doors do reopen, it won't be the same. It will be a completely new era, a completely new cultural period, a completely new occupational period on the internet for Amber. We could even call it year one when if she reopens this channel, right? It will be completely different. Okay? And again, argue with me down below if you want. Leave a timestamp. Sorry, remember what I said. But that's the overall impact of this. We, the greater community, have lost any fresh material. We've lost the reaction cycle. We've lost our ability to have our back and forths with Amber. She will not interact with us without any kind of financial incentive, which does kind of limit us, the reaction channels, the haters, the commenters, from being able to have our typical interactions with Amber, especially on YouTube. Off YouTube is a different story, but on YouTube, this is done, right? What's done is done. And it's at least done for 90 days. And when it does come back, it will be different. So everything coming up to this point, Amber and her shoving food in her face, the shrimp ring, the whole ass chicken. Well, she didn't actually eat the whole chicken, but the point was there. The choking on potatoes, I ordered an apple and they sent me 2 bags of chips. That's in the past now. That's classical. That's classical Amber. And what we can do now as a community is what we have been doing as a community, honestly, is going back, reflecting on it, analyzing it, debating it back and forth, putting it in new documentaries going forward, clipping it into new clips. I mean, this stuff will be evergreen as far as the Amberverse is concerned, as long as there is interest in the Amberverse. Now, should Amber go dark for, ever? Like, if this truly is it, and she turns the lights off and never comes back, will interest in the Amberverse peter out? Probably. I mean, it's just natural, I think, that overall interest in the Amberverse and Amber in general will eventually peter out, just because fewer and fewer people will be introduced to her. And since there's no fresh material, she'll become less and less relevant. But as a historical figure, she'll always be interesting. And so there will always be room for Amber, obviously. But if she doesn't come back, I think that's what we're looking at, is a slow decline into irrelevancy and to becoming just a story on the internet that people will occasionally cover. Oh, here's this, do you guys remember when? Or looking back on kind of a thing. as far as the overall culture of those of us in Girl World, where do we go? Where does the Amberverse go? Most of us have already pivoted. Most of us already have other places and people that we watch. I'm sure there's a few people that only watch Amber. I know there's a couple reaction channels that only react to Amber. And I have heard many of them already talking about, I'm going to go do other topics. I'm going to go find something else to talk about. Some of them are even like, I'm not even going to do Girl World stuff anymore. I'm just going to try my hand at a completely different topic now. Cool. And those channels tend to have a very loyal following that they've already built, that the channel, that reaction channel has built. They have their own ecosystem, their own cultural group over there. And whether that group sticks with them through that change or not, that really just depends on how strong of a, parasocial relationship they've developed with their community over the years. Individually, I'm sure there's a few people that like all they watched was Amberlynn content. And now that this Amberlynn era is over with, maybe they're like, I'm out. No more Girl World. Those people are probably healthier than the rest of us. I don't know what they're going to go do. Good on you. Go touch grass. The rest of us are going to do this. But there you go. So that's where I think this is going to end up going. I think for the most part, we're just going to see an absorption of the Amberverse communities into other Girl World communities, which had already been occurring anyway. It's very unusual for people to be only in one Girl World, one girl, right? The Amberverse, the Glitterverse, Shantopolis. It's very rare for you to only be involved with one girl within Girl World. But there probably are a handful of people that are, right? There has to be. So for the most part, I think you're going to see the Amberverse just kind of disperse and absorb into smaller groups. Will she be back? I don't know. I honestly don't know. I really don't know. I knee-jerk reaction. Yeah, she's gonna be back because what else is she gonna do? But I don't know. And yeah, that's basically how I see all of this going on. This Amber as a cultural site, as a occupational period, all my big words, neoliberalism, and what was the other one? Oh, ritualistic cycles. And I gotta use all the words I went to college for. That being said, if there's anything that we went over that you guys have a comment on or you need clarified, let me know down in the comment section down below. Please use a timestamp so that I remember what the hell I was talking about. There's still stuff to be said about Amber. There's still videos to be made about Amber. As I was saying earlier, she's a great mirror for various topics. She's a great way to discuss deeper topics in a lighthearted way, or sometimes not a lighthearted way. She's a great example of, ecosystems within the internet, like, the whole reaction, her reacting back, moral ecosystem that we've created around her, kind of a thing. I mean, she's a great example of a lot of interesting things that we could continue to talk about on the internet. Are there other girls that we can move on to? Yeah, I've been kind of, moving on to other girls in general. I've been covering other people for a while now, and I'll probably just continue to do that. But that's pretty much it. So if you guys enjoyed this video, let me know. I think I hit every topic I wanted to hit on. If you want me to clarify things in another video, let me know and I'll consider it. And if you've made it this far in the video, go ahead and put a little devil head down in the comment section, because this is the last time we get to see these cute little devil horns. It's not the last time, but you get my drift. And that's all I've got for you guys. So thank you to everybody who's been supporting the channel. Thank you to my subscribers. Thank you to my members. You guys rock. Thank you to everybody who's going to hit the thumbs up button. And I will see everybody in the next video. Bye.
This is my outro music. You can't copyright strike me because it's just me singing. This is my outro music. Thank you for watching. See you next time.